always on top in the quad. Feel the music drop in the quad. Roots run deep.
What what's going on, HBCU family? It is Tuesday, December 10th, and you are locked into another brand new episode of In the Quad with Nick Eden. I am your host, Nick Eden, and today we're actually merging two shows. Right. So we had some tech difficulties Monday. It was raining like a mug out there. I thought it's like dang, I thought we escaped hurricane season down on the coast, but it felt like it. But so we had a lot of technical difficulties today. Couldn't go live yesterday, so we couldn't go live. Today is actually a mixture of the Monday and Tuesday show. You know, on Monday, I do my HBCU Twitter weekly review. And on Tuesday, we've got the Tuesday top 10. So we're actually going to do both of those today, along with my final thoughts, which is likely going to absolutely piss off SWAC and MEAC teams. Let me just go ahead and put that out there now, because at this point, I am sick of everybody. So just keep that in mind. My final thoughts, and my final thoughts are going to be a lot longer than they usually are. But if you are new to In the Quad with Nick Eden, In the Quad covers a vast range of trending topics across the entire HBCU landscape. That's TikTok, Fizz, Snapchat, Fanbase, Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, we're talking about it. And in a general sense, we condense those down to four main topics. Now, today again is going to be very different, because what we're going to be actually doing is we're going to be doing our HBCU Twitter review, Twitter weekly review today. And in the second part of the show, we're going to be doing our Tuesday top 10. Let me go ahead and say this about the top 10 before I get into HBCU Twitter weekly. So I was not going to do this one. And let me tell you why. Because originally it was supposed to be top 10 fictional HBCUs, which it still is. And I consume this HBCU stuff. I do. Like, y'all just don't know, from reality to TV to movies, whatever the case may be. If it's talking about HBCUs, I am on it. And I'm like, in my life, I don't particularly remember there being 10 fictional HBCUs. And so when the idea was first proposed to me, I was talking to my guy about it, and he was like, "Nah, man, I'm telling you, it's 10 out there. Put it out there, let people bring it in. And in fairness, in fairness and transparency, it was nowhere near as many people that came with last week's no diddy. That suggested last week's top 10 uh characters that you just know went to HBCUs. Yeah, like y'all came through with them. There were some I couldn't even use because it was so many. It really was 10. It really was 10. Some of them are garbage. Let me just go ahead and tell you that now. Some of them are absolute garbage, but some of them are our favorites and they've been influential on us. So I'm looking forward to that. But before we get into any of that, I just want to say without question, that I would be remiss if I did not bring up this person. And I wanted to say rest in peace to Nikki Giovanni, probably one of the most influential poets, authors, and activists of the last 60, 70 years. She's 1967 graduate of Fisk University. Many of us used her poems throughout the entirety of our secondary and post-secondary education. And her activism was top notch, second to none. So she passed away. This is according to her wife, Virginia. She passed away. She passed away at the age of 81. So I just wanted to say once again, rest in peace to Nikki Giovanni. Your life has impacted us all for the better, and we are better because of you. All right, all right, all right. So, and y'all, love on you folks. 81 years young is an incredible age, but somehow it never feels like it's enough. So love on your ones if they're still around, especially those of you with parents and grandparents. And so I have, three of my four parents. Uh, and unfortunately, none of my grandparents. So if you got them, love on them, tell them you love them, you appreciate them. And let's get to business. All right, y'all. Huh. Hold on 1 second. A little tech difficult. All right, all right, all right. Now, come on, y'all. This was one for the books. As always, y'all never disappoint, ever, ever, ever disappoint. It's always some type of shenanigans going on HBCU Twitter, and this week did not disappoint. And some of this is actually going into what my final thoughts are. So yeah, let's get right down to it. Now look, I don't know why we can't ever just get along. But what I will say is on Sunday, we had a very rare time where we showed true HBCU unity. And that was when Virginia Union, unfortunately, hmm, they didn't make it past the second round of the Division II playoffs, but it was historic. It was the first time in the program's history that they had gone to the second round of Division II playoffs. And what we saw on Sunday was an outpour of support from the entire HBCU landscape. Like everybody was just pouring into Virginia Union. So shout out to the Panthers. And y'all had a phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal year, and a phenomenal postseason. Please hold your heads up high. Absolutely hold your heads up high because you deserve every bit of accolades that you get. Um, so yeah, that is kind of where it stopped because on Monday, JSU, and let me tell you, this is gonna be part of my final thoughts. JSU was not playing around. It was it was JSU versus everybody. JSU alums have coined the term the coalition, and apparently the coalition to them is everyone who is not a JSU alum and they are against them, and they went after everybody. And I'm talking about collectively. I want to know, did y'all have like a meeting beforehand? Did y'all be like, hey, look, we're gonna get on this like big Zoom and we just gonna say, all right, this is what we call them. We call them the coalition. Here's our talking points, and then we just gonna start going at everybody because everybody hating on us. Everybody hating on nothing. They know we gonna win. They know we gonna win. We're gonna beat Southern. So now they hating and they hating early. And so that's what it went to. And everybody was going at it time and time again. Listen, let me explain something to y'all. Not everybody is against Jackson State. Not everybody. I don't even want to get into the detail because this is a part of my final thoughts. So be prepared to be pissed off. But nonetheless, JSU, come on with it now. Come on. On Tuesday, Ray Charles, I mean the SWAC announced their postseason awards. All teams. They're because they did the awards week 4. We went through that whole thing. It's amazing, and I'm putting my Alabama State hat on this one. It's amazing how on your first team defense, you got 5 defensive players from Alabama State, but no defensive player of the year. That's beside the point. Uh, y'all, we gotta sit down and talk with the SWAC. Like it's time for the SWAC to realize that y'all work for us. And I'm not saying that to influence your decision. What I am saying is we need a little bit more transparency on how y'all coming up with this stuff and what in the hell y'all are smoking or drinking to get you to the point to where you put some of the people that you put on these first and second teams. Insane. And again, that's my ASU hat is off. There are JSU alums that agree with me. There are some people offensively and defensively from JSU that should have been on the first and second team. There are some people from Prairie View, from Alcorn. That should. It's just, and I know it's only so many spots, but come on, man, come on. Like we got to cut the Ray Charles. We got to cut the Ray Charles mess out. We did get a rare reprieve, a rare reprieve on Wednesday because someone decided they were going to take a picture of Francine and say, we need to make a black version of this. And so all these different versions of Francine holding up the drinks, they all pop up. She got locks. There was one where she was thicker. There was one to go ahead and make my little ones in there. So I'm posting the one that I created because I did one for all the sororities of the Divine Nine. Obviously, I can't put them all in just this one spot. But I mean, you know, if we're gonna do that, like the ladies might as well flex on them and throw up that graduate instead of throwing up some drinks. So so yeah. Meanwhile, and I feel bad because I don't know her name, so I'm part of the problem too. There is a black character, Loretta from the Cleveland Brown show. Like, there's actually a black character that y'all could have done, but we had to turn we had to turn Francine black. I love y'all. I love y'all, but we got to do just a little bit better, just a little bit. Anyway, y'all, we're gonna take our first commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna finish with our HBCU Twitter Weekly Review, and we're gonna get into our Twitter top 10, our Tuesday top 10 fictional HBCUs. It's in the quad with Nick Eden.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday.
I got you something.
We said no gift.
We had to get you something.
Thank you, honey.
I got you this.
Did you do this yourself?
Man, I had a great teacher.
Happy birthday.
I love you.
I love you too.
Love you. Thank you.
This is from me
Oh.
to you.
I am genius.
Wow. Hey, Jay, this project might need a bit of zhuzhing. Holla back. Warren.
Please let me know your thoughts. Best regards. Warren?
I am genius.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
Hey, sweet new gear. It's like Best Buy hooked you guys up.
Pretty sick, right?
What is that?
That's our traveling trophy. Oh, that's what's up, man.
Ah, a goat for the goats. Fits these pro level setups.
Last year's trophy.
Not a goat.
Nope.
What if you could get all the latest and greatest gaming gear from one place?
That's the hour. You are locked into another brand new episode of Interquad with Nick Eden. I am your host, Nick Eden. And right now we are in the middle of our HBCU Twitter Weekly Review. And as you can see, you know, we're about halfway through, y'all. It was messy. It was messy. Especially folks on Thursday. Y'all, Thursday, come on, man. Now, let me say, last year, for the Celebration Bowl, it was Howard versus FAMU. and it was nowhere near the level of vitriol that has seemingly already started this year. We've always enjoyed this friendly rivalry. It is a little different. Now, we now know that this is going to be the rematch between Jackson State versus South Carolina State. But here's the thing about it. Even before we knew that was going to be the case, Swag and MEAC started going at it on Twitter and going at it hard. And y'all got to stop listening to MEAC Mike. Y'all really got to stop. I mean, the reality is, one, we always cap this Swag versus MEAC thing at the Celebration Bowl. Y'all never want to talk about the Heritage Bowl. MEAC folks, this part is on y'all. You never want to talk about the Heritage Bowl because y'all got dominated by the SWAC in the Heritage Bowl. You never want to talk about that. It always starts at the Celebration Bowl. Okay, fine. I mean, if we really want to get funky about it, we can go back to the Pelican Bowl, but that's a whole nother thing. But so you got that part of it. SWAC folks. The bottom line is the MEAC has, for the most part, dominated in the Celebration Bowl. There's no way around it. All you can do is just, hey, let's keep up the momentum. You had Grambling that won, I think it was 2016 or 2018 that won the Celebration Bowl. FAMU won last year. You got Jackson State, which is favored very heavily to win the Celebration Bowl this year. So, I mean, just concentrate on winning it going forward. You know, it is what it is, man. Come on. Like, y'all got to, you got the steam rolling for the SWAC MEAC challenge. So it's starting to shift some. But yeah, they're going to keep throwing that out there that they dominated the Celebration Bowl. Okay, fine. It is what it is. But y'all starting to go, yep, MEAC, y'all starting to act like SWAC in terms of this trash talking and this beef. And I'm all for some good trash talk, but some of y'all, need a drink or maybe even something stronger. So I'm gonna leave it at that. So yeah, going back and forth again. Stop listening to MEAC Mike and letting MEAC Mike, and MEAC Mike know what he's doing. Let me go ahead and say this real quick. MEAC Mike knows exactly what he's doing. And y'all let that man rile y'all up daily. Y'all let him rile y'all up. And the funny thing about it is, Morgan State is never in the conversation. Not for the SWAC MEAC Challenge, not for the Orange Blossom Classic, not for the SWAC Championship. I'm not saying they can't get there. I think they have a phenomenal defense, but they're not even in the conversation. And y'all let a dude from school. It's not that's like me getting upset at somebody from Dell State. I'm sorry, Dell State. Y'all did not need to catch that stray because I actually really enjoyed y'all football team this year. But that's neither here nor there. But a bit of good news. Shout out to, I ain't never seen an Aggie this happy. Never. Shout out to Coach Sean Gibbs, who was almost immediately named. This is what I like. When y'all make a decision and make it quickly. Coach Vincent Brown was let go from North Carolina A&T. And last week, Sean Gibbs of Fort Valley State, someone who's built a phenomenal program at Fort Valley State, was initially the hire for FAMU's head coach before the whole porch debacle. But Sean Gibbs has found or returned home to North Carolina A&T as the head coach. Now, everybody immediately said, well, not everybody, it's a lot of folks. Oh no, now it's time for A&T to return to the MEAC. Time for them to return to, let that man build that program and let them just see where everything is. That's like the best thing that you can do. Let the man build a program and then just see where it is. So shout out to Coach Gibbs. Think he's going to do a phenomenal job leading the Aggies. There are some people who are just like giddy that they've had 2 wins in 2 years. I don't like that. I as an institution, I am constantly impressed by North Carolina A&T. I was actually talking with my daughter It was one of my top choices for her when it came to college. Obviously, she makes, she made her own decision, but it that didn't work out. But I have two students that, oh, no. It's one student now. She committed to North Carolina A&T, and she ended up going to Virginia State. But I have I have one student at A&T right now. So I'm really excited about what this can do for the program, and I hope it leads to some domination in the CAA. So shout out to them. And finally, I think we kind of knew this was going to happen based on how both teams have performed this year. But Jackson State on Saturday, the SWAC East champions took it all. They took the SWAC championship. They absolutely dominated Southern at the Vet. And I will say, Southern, I'm proud of y'all because nobody had Southern being in the SWAC championship this year. Even Perry, who is a Southern alum, Perry White, he was like, Southern will be the surprise team, but nobody really said that, hey, Southern is just going to be that team. Like nobody said that. So shout out to them. They had a hard fought road headed to the SWAC championship. There was the Boombox Classic. And I got something to say about that real quick. It's funny because they called the Boombox Classic, and as much as everybody talks about the football team, and it's not about the bands, you name the classic after the bands. Again. So, but shout out to Jackson State. They are representing the SWAC, headed to the Celebration Bowl. Listen, I like Chennis Berry a whole lot. Let me single myself this out. Everybody's got all their choices and who you got for the Celebration Bowl and this and that. And I'm getting to a little bit more of that in my final thoughts. This is not even a question. I wish I was going to be there this year, but I'm not going to be at the Celebration Bowl. It is absolutely SWAC over everybody. You don't have to worry about who I'm going for in the Celebration Bowl. I'm going for Jackson State. They are representing the SWAC. They're representing the state of Mississippi, which y'all know I'm from Mississippi. They're representing the SWAC East. And Bama State is the SWAC East. This is not even a question. And it really shouldn't be a question. Like, you may have your predictions on who you think is going to win. And if that's different than who you want to win and you're conference affiliated, fine. That's just football. I ain't that dude. I'm riding with Jackson State. Not only do I feel like they are the better team and they will win because they are the better team, they are SWAC, and I'm riding with the SWAC. So, love it, hate it, nothing against South Carolina State. Love Chennis Berry. I think he's an absolute phenomenal guy. Eric Phoenix just won HBCU Player of the Year. Shout out to that young man. I will see you in Texas in January when you get your championship belt and your crystal trophy for being Player of the Year. But quite frankly, that's going to be the only trophy that you get over the next 2 months because Saturday, Jackson State is taking. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we will be right back with our Tuesday Top 10. It's in the quad with Nick Eden.
World needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just to love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Wow. Hey, Jay, this project might need a bit of zhuzhing. Holla back, Warren.
Please let me know your thoughts. Best regards, Warren.
I am genius.
From now on, it's all about us. Starting a family, buying a car, our first home.
They told you to open an account, then turned you away. They said, come back when you're ready. You said, we're ready now.
I know we're gonna make it.
Hope makes it happen. Thousands of your neighbors, many who never had a bank account before, improved their lives with Hope Credit Union. You can too. Brighter futures begin with hope.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, you're gonna love this. He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, these cars are going fast, I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
Back to In the Quad with Nick Eden. Y'all, we just wrapped our HBCU Twitter Weekly Review. Look for the actual post to drop on Twitter at Nick Eden /X at Nick Eden. Just change it back to Twitter. Damn. Look for that to drop in probably about 30 minutes after the show. I appreciate everybody who tunes in weekly, not only to my Twitter page, but also to In the Quad with Nick Eden. Y'all, this is vastly becoming one of my favorite things to do when it comes to this show. And that is our Tuesday Top 10. All right, y'all. Tuesday Top 10. Let's this week we are talking our top 10 fictional HBCUs. Again, I did not think that this was going to happen because in my mind it was like, I don't think there's enough HBCUs out there, fictional HBCUs out there to craft a top 10. And the difference is from last week, I didn't do them in order. This week, I'm definitely doing them in order because some of these do not deserve to be with some of the big dogs. So let's get the trash ones out of the way first. Like this, it shouldn't even been done. Now, the first one, I'm not trashing the movie. I'm just trashing HBCU. This recently appeared on Lifetime, Abducted at an HBCU. This starred one of my favorite actresses out there, Naturi Naughton. It was produced by Garcelle Beauvais, who, famously people know her as Fancy from the Jamie Foxx show. But here's the thing. So I don't even know what the name of the HBCU is. That's how trash it is. It was a fictional HBCU. They shot it on the campus of Morehouse College. It was so trash because in like half the movie, you see the Morehouse sign on the field, the logo on the field, you see the Morehouse logo in the banners. Like literally almost everyone, they're telling you that it's not Morehouse and it's not Spelman. And I'm like, would y'all just please just give it a name, call it, Unity University, whatever the case may be, something, because it was that trash. Now, the movie was not trash because the movie actually highlighted, it was actually based on a true story of young Black girls being abducted from campuses and HBCU campuses. There's one young lady in particular that they focused on. So that part made it important. That is actually what saved it to get on this list. I ain't gonna hold you. And the fact that it was literally the 10th one, and this just happened like last month. So yeah, that was again important movie, important message, but unnamed HBCU, it was trash. It was trash, and that's why it's got the number 10 spot. Number 9. Okay, now, y'all know I'm in a fraternity. It's not Divine Nine. Still in a fraternity nonetheless. Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia Fraternity of America, oldest and largest music fraternity in the world. I have a lot of thoughts when it comes to movies that are about pledging, more specifically, hazing. I had to go back and watch this movie a second time. One, because I needed to know the name of the university, because everybody kept mentioning the movie, but not the university. The movie Burning Sands on Netflix. The university was Frederick Douglass University. I say this again. I did not like the movie the first time I watched it. I do not like the movie now. I am not an advocate of hazing. Much like Divine Nine, Phi Mu Alpha is a non-hazing organization. So I am not pro-hazing. Let me just say this. Especially at my big age of 44. I will just say you learn and you live as you get older. That is not an admission of anything. But no, I'm not pouring liquor. It's something else. I realized how that sounded. I'm like, dang, it sounds like I poured up a shot. No, it's not the case. But I'm not an advocate of hazing. I thought the movie painted black fraternities in a very negative light, even though there is some realism to them, and sometimes these things happen. It's not the vast majority. And being a person who's a part of a predominantly white, or at this point, that's actually not even predominantly white anymore, a multicultural fraternity. I know that traditionally it's been the white organizations that the hazing is much worse. But in either sense, the reason that it barely made it, and when I say barely made it barely made it above the unnamed HBCU and abducted at an HBCU is because it actually had a name. They called it Frederick Douglass University, which is funny because we never had a Frederick Douglass University. So I thought that was done. That's the only reason they got the 9 spot, not the 10 spot, because it was absolute trash. We got now let's get to our next one. And this one, boy, this is gonna get a lot of hate too. Southern State University. I told y'all, I was like, look, I almost didn't do this because I can only really find a legitimate 6 or 7. Somebody brought this up. Southern State University, which some of y'all may know and some of you may not know, Southern State replaced Morris Brown as the rival school in Drumline A New Beat. Now, we don't know anything about this university outside of the band. And the fact that they hired D. Ray Davis to be the band director lets me know that they make bad decisions. So that is why they took that's why they took this spot. Again, it was a placeholder. We all know that Morris Brown is not the Morris Brown that it used to be. Also, there's licensing rights that come with Morris Brown. So it was just easier for them to go ahead and create Southern. To me, Southern State University, it reminded me of what was it? Was it on? It was either on He Got Game or Blue Chips. Big State University. It was like somebody just come up with a random crazy name for a college. So those were the trash ones, right? Now there's one more that y'all might not know, but it's a little bit better off than the others, and that is, oh gosh, I forgot the name just that quick. Hold on, let me go to my list. Hawkins University. Hawkins University. If anybody is a watcher of All American Homecoming, which I have been watching, and I have some thoughts on this show. I'd actually like to get some people from the show from the TV show onto this show to talk about it. But I was like really impressed with All American Homecoming. I'll talk about it a little bit more. But yeah, Hawkins University, which was the rival to the main university in All American Homecoming, and again, very similar to Southern State University. We don't know much about it outside of its baseball team and the issues surrounding the coach that was previously the coach at Bringston on All American. So while we don't know much about them, they were featured more. The reason they got a higher spot than Southern State is because they were actually just featured more. But it's not really that much more to talk about Hawkins. So now let's get into my top 6. And y'all going look, okay. Y'all are going to agree with some of these. Y'all are not going to agree with some of these. The order, you'll agree with the ones that are on there, but you won't necessarily agree with the order. And I would love to hear how you feel about it. If you just simply head over to Twitter or /X or Instagram or fan base at Nick Eden, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about the order of this top 6. Number 6, damn you, Georgia A&M. Georgia A&M hit really hard with the show on BET, The Quad, not to be confused with In the Quad. And the reason it's not to be confused with In the Quad is that would be a violation of copyright. In the Quad with Nick Eden and The Quad, 2 different things. Anyway, so what I loved and what got them the number 6 spot was you got a chance to actually flesh out the school itself, right? The identity. The characters, of course, they had their identity, but the school itself, GAMU had, and shout out to BET, because what I thought what they did with this to promote this show was phenomenal. This is one of the things. They had a GAMU Twitter page. They had the hashtag going. They had them on Instagram. The Quad is actually one of my favorite shows of the last like 10 years or so, because it was just the marketing behind it. I just wish they got more of a chance. I really wish they would have gotten more of a chance, but Anika Noni Rose was phenomenal in it. But what set them in the spot that they're in is because they went really hard with making you feel like, hey, this is an actual school. And I will also say that, and this is why I wonder if y'all agree with the placement. Out of all of the responses that I got in, GAMU was in top 3, right? GAMU was actually like, sometimes it was number 2, sometimes it was number 3. It never hit number 1, but it was consistently in the top 3 of the responses that I got. So I do know that the Quad is available for purchase, but not necessarily available to stream anywhere. I need BET to come back with that. Even if you just stream the old seasons of it, I thought it was great. I thought it was needed. I always want there to be some type of HBCU representation on TV, and right now we got it with well, All American Homecoming just wrapped. It was on the CW, but I think that this will be the perfect time, one, to put it back on the streaming platforms. We need the Quad on streaming platforms, and we need A Different World on streaming platforms again. And so, yeah, shout out to them. So, GAMU, Georgia A&M, Georgia Agricultural and Mechanical University. It was based in Atlanta, which most of these HBCUs are based in Atlanta. That takes the number 6 spot. The number 5 spot. Now, this is where it's going to get real controversial. Truth University. As you all know, Truth University from Stomp the Yard. Now, also based in Atlanta. You would think If you base it on TV, every HBCU is based in Atlanta or Virginia. Ain't nowhere else but them two. Y'all, come on now. We already know what this is. Stomp the Yard is a staple. I call Stomp the Yard one of the big four when it comes to influential movies or TV shows about HBCUs. You got A Different World, you got School Days, Drumline, and Stomp the Yard. The sequel was trash. I ain't gonna hold you. Sequel was absolutely trash. But it is a part of the big four. But there's a reason that it's number 5, and I'll get to that in a minute. And the reason I say it's number 5 is because while it is a part of the big four in terms of influential movies, the singular focus of Stomp the Yard was the fraternity beefs. Spoiler alert, next week is going to be top 10 fictional black sororities. So go ahead and get yourself ready for that one, because I'm excited about that. It was more than 10. Blew me away. It was more than 10. But the story was definitely more about DJ. It was more about his journey in college. It was Theta Nu Theta and Mu Gamma Xi. So Truth kind of took a back turn to it. Like, I feel like you could have taken any university and put it in that place. Like, it didn't even, if we're being honest, Stomp the Yard didn't even necessarily have to be at an HBCU. I'm glad it was, don't get me wrong. It could have easily been at a PWI because, again, that's just kind of how it set itself up. So the university did not have an identity, right? It didn't have an identity. And that was a big part of it. Guys, we're going to take another commercial break. We'll be right back with the rest of our list. It's in the quad with Nick Eden.
World needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just to love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
Wow. Hey, Jay, this project might need a bit of zhuzhing. Holla back, Warren.
Please let me know your thoughts. Best regards, Warren.
I am genius.
From now on, it's all about us. Starting a family, buying a car, our first home.
They told you to open an account, then turned you away. They said, come back when you're ready. You said, we're ready now.
I know we're gonna make it.
Hope makes it happen. Thousands of your neighbors, many who never had a bank account before, improved their lives with Hope Credit Union. You can too. Brighter futures begin with hope.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, you're gonna love this. He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, these cars are going fast, I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
.46 after the hour, you are locked into in the quad with Nick Eden. Y'all, we are right in the middle of our top 10 Tuesdays. This is our top 10 fictional HBCUs. And let's get right into it, man. Another one of the big four that may actually become the big five one day. We'll see. But another one of the big four, absolutely, Atlanta A&T. Let me explain something to you. Now, be honest with you, because I was an adult when this movie came out. I was 21, and Drumline and a march of the band, I had a different perspective on it. In the moment, I did not appreciate Drumline the way that I should have, probably the way that somebody who was my age when School Days or A Different World was out would appreciate it. I know people who are like younger than me that they live and breathe by Drumline. I was in there like, that's not how the band does, but that's beside the point. But this is about the school. Atlanta A&T had an identity to the point that we're still talking about it on social media, and it's been 22 years. It's been 22 years since this movie came out, and we still, you got band heads talking about, yeah, I'd have marched at A&T. I'd have marched at A&T. Atlanta A&T had an identity as a school. You felt like you were on the yard. You felt the actual beef and rivalry with Morris Brown. You felt like, okay, it's school. Like you saw things about the school that reminded you of your HBCU. And again, it's a name that has transcended. It's probably the second most popular fictional HBCU name in this landscape. So, but then somebody would ask, well, Nick, why are they number 4 on the list and not number 3? And let me go ahead and say there is a bias here. There's a slight bias because I've been watching this for the past week. But I love the way that it was fleshed out. And that is your number 3 spot goes to Brinceton University. Brinceton University from All American Homecoming. Now, let me go ahead and say something now. I first tried to watch this show last year, and it was a little slow on the tape. And I was like, this isn't clicking. It seems like probably about halfway through the first season, they started consulting with people who actually matriculated at an HBCU because you could just see the elements of it that started to click, right? And it started to be more cultural, and it started to feel more like an HBCU and not just a school backdrop that you could have placed any of this in. Brinceton, as a university, has an identity. I love the episode where they talked about the bomb threat. That was something in real time that happened at HBCUs. They talked about the funding. They talked about the control of the board of trustees. They talked about the shift in presidents. The student government. There was so much about it that just made you be like, look, this is an actual HBCU that has its place in the name. And I know some people are going to be like, man, the show just ended. There's no reason you can put it over Atlanta A&T, over Drumline. But I would challenge anybody to watch that show and not feel the same thing that I felt. And I know that I felt a little bit more because one thing I loved about it was it wasn't so heavily concentrated on football, and it wasn't so heavily concentrated on the band, that it did give you an option, a time to explore the other aspects of HBCU life, right? The politics of the athletic director and the coaches and the athletic director and the president. The fact that it was like going to a school, to me, I identify Brinceton with Alabama State because going to a school where the baseball team is prominent and there are MLB prospects. And it's a multi-sport school that they didn't just concentrate on football, right? And so it gave us an HBCU without doing a cut and paste of the other HBCUs we've seen in the past. And that is what got them on the number 3 spot because, and yes, in fairness, they had 3 seasons to flesh out the identity of Brinceton. That's true. But it was enough to garner them the number 3 spot. Number 2, Man, come on. Y'all know what the top two are. Let's stop playing. The baddest school in the land, except for homecoming. Mission College. Again, Mission College. There was so much that Spike Lee did with this movie for School Days. There were so many points of interest that everyone could identify with. You had the relationship between Dap and Rachel. You had his relationship with the Greeks to come to find out, oh, he actually dropped line. And now he's got this vitriol against them. The fraternities were a focal point. The school itself and its divestment from South Africa were a focal point. The culture of it, oh my God, the Black excellence, the Black beauty in that movie. The talk about white donors, the federal government and philanthropists being the major funders of HBCUs, the politics of the board of trustees and the president. Again, and here's the crazy thing about it. Spike Lee was able to give Mission its separate identity in one movie. So in 2 hours or less, Spike Lee was able to give what a lot of other things needed, a TV series to make this top 5. And Mission College was number 2. Just, my gosh. Amazing, amazing, amazing. This is the power of having someone who is from the HBCU culture in charge of this thing. That's the power of it. And that's what got it the number 2 spot. But it wasn't hitting this number 1. And this number 1 spot, y'all already know. Hillman College. Now, let me go ahead and say this real quick. You know, the picture I have up there is not the classic photo that you see. And yes, 2 things of this really weigh out to you. The first season of A Different World was certified trash. That just is what it is. And second, Marissa Tomei. Maggie is an HBCU alum. Yes, there is a cheat code to A Different World. Yes. But Hillman College was the focal point, and everybody else were supporting characters. Everybody else was supporting characters. It was Denise. But then it was Dwayne and Whitley. But then it was Lena. It was all these different characters. It was Mr. Gaines. It was Colonel Taylor. It was Jaleesa. Everybody had a character arc, but the main character was Hillman College. Talked about issues of campus safety, dorm rules, the matriculation of students, the hangout spot on the yard, the fraternities and sororities, the dorm step shows. When this show was in syndication, and I was at Alabama State, literally, I had TV One, and it would come on a lot. It was in syndication on 2 different networks. But I remember specifically being on TV One. I would literally watch this show every day, and it's like the things that I was going through on campus at the time almost reflected themselves exclusively on A Different World in real time. My daughter, who was born, 16, 17 years after the show? No, 12 years after the show stopped in 93. She was born in 2005. She can relate to the show. Her friends can relate to the show. They talk about it. Generations today, this is the reason they're still going around and they're still touring. It's why they're talking about doing a reboot. This is why one of my most viral videos of 2023 was the video that I made about, a conceptual reboot of A Different World. It's the reason I'm planning to do on this network the ADW Rewind, where I go through and we're going to start from season 1 and go all the way through and review every single show. Coming soon to Urban Edge Network. Anyway, make sure y'all got the app, by the way. I'll talk to you about that in a second. But again, it had its own identity. We still wear the merch. We all got Hillman College stuff. We still got it, right? So that's why A Different World, Hillman College takes the number 1 spot. I want to thank everybody who participated. This was absolutely phenomenal. We're going to take our last commercial break. I'll be right back with my final thoughts.
Technology lets you monitor your pet when you're not at home. But to monitor threats to your hybrid workforce wherever they are, you need more than technology. You need CDW, who gets to know your business and can design and deploy custom solutions with pre-configured HP notebooks with HP Wolf Security. AI-enabled threat detection and remote management protect your endpoints 24/7, giving your defenses some real teeth.
Bummer.
HP makes always-on remote security possible. CDW makes it powerful.
This is not just delivery. This is knowing even superheroes can use a sidekick. Walgreens.
Is that your new Nissan Rogue?
Yeah, crazy story. So this morning, I'm at the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event, taking a test drive. When Dave, the sales guy, is like, "You're gonna love this." He shows me the best-in-class fuel economy and lets me know it's recommended by Consumer Reports. When Dave says, "These cars are going fast," I knew I had to have that Rogue.
Nissan offers 6 vehicles starting under $30,000, like Rogue with 2.9% financing for 60 months.
No charger?
It's a Mac. The battery lasts all day.
See you next week.
Said. Influential. ADW Rewind coming very soon. Y'all, final thoughts, and I'm going to go over the hour. Let me be very clear. Let me start with the MEAC. I agree that the MEAC should not be focused on having their own championship. I agree that the MEAC should not be trying to keep up with the SWAC and have the same amount of schools as the SWAC. I agree. The MEAC needs to concentrate on being the MEAC. And for the most part, the institutions and the teams are doing what they need to do to be focused on MEAC. But the MEAC has problems as a conference. And the people are going to have to atone with that when the criticism comes down from the conference, it's not on the individual schools, it's the structure of the conference. That's a valid criticism. From the teams in the MEAC, do they play more physical football? Sure. Can it be argued that they have better coaching overall? Sure. I'll go with that. Do they have the pomp and circumstance that the SWAC has? No. I've done this before. I would liken it to, for my wrestling fans, you'll understand this. 2012, 2013 pro wrestling, where TNA, Impact, and Ring of Honor, bell to bell, had the better action. They did. Better stars, better action. Better stars, better action. Sure. For the WWE, it was the show. It was the grand scale. And that's what the SWAC is. So don't get mad. Like, if you do not get mad. I've seen this trash talk going on, and quite frankly, I'm sorry. I'm sick of it. Do not get mad when the SWAC hangs his hat on the fact that, yeah, Yes, the MEAC as a conference has been from the bills put in place by the SWAC. Because the show and the pomp and circumstance has been there and people are actually clamoring to see it. Now, yes, the MEAC has collectively more major TV markets. That is true. But the testament to the SWAC being able to pull off the deals that it's able to pull off and the attendance, I know y'all don't like to talk about attendance, but the attendance and the exposure of the bands and God knows how many reality shows and other things and the millions and millions of views and eyes that are on the SWAC as a conference. Don't get mad when SWAC folks hang their hat on that because it is the show. And somebody's gonna sit there and say, well, I didn't know anything about the SWAC. Yes, you did. Because if nothing else you knew about Grambling. I dare a football fan, particularly HBCU football fan, to say, oh, I didn't know anything about Grambling State. You're a damn liar and you're disingenuous. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. The show is in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The physicality is in the Mideastern Athletic Conference. But I'm going to tell you right now, the day that the physicality matches the level of the show in the SWAC, it's truly over. Unless the MEAC does something as a conference, and I'm not hacking the institutions or their programs, unless the conference does something to beef up that profile, when SWAC football matches, and football in particular, matches the show and the pomp and circumstance of the SWAC, it's going to take off. Don't be mad at that. Hold your conference to the same accord that we hold our conference to, or that we're at least attempting to. That's why I appreciate when Josh on HBCU Nightly talks about things like Tennessee State coming to the MEAC, or the things that can make the MEAC better as a conference. Because again, we ain't talking about NCCU, we ain't talking about Howard, we ain't talking about South Carolina State, we ain't talking about Norfolk. We're talking about the conference and what the conference does. There's a reason that people left in droves. That's just the truth. Y'all don't have to like it. It's the truth. Not a SWAC. Let me go ahead and say this. There are two teams in the SWAC that are two sides of the same coin. Jackson State alums. Love y'all to death. Y'all know I do. Got a whole bunch of family there. This whole notion, I get it. Social media will take one person's voice and amplify it, and everybody, all of a sudden it's JSU versus everybody. Everybody ain't against y'all. Half the time we not even, okay. Half the time we really not even thinking about y'all like that. The majority of SWAC schools, I ain't gonna hold you. The majority of SWAC schools, TV be minding their business. Texas Southern be minding their business. Folk be trying to mind A&M and ASU business, and we be off doing our own thing. Jay says it on Twitter all the time. We be in Alabama collecting our checks and building our profiles. We don't be bothering nobody. Everybody is not against Jackson State. And when you say, oh, the coalition, everybody is against us, no, you shit on the people who actually are riding for y'all, who actually want you to succeed, whether they go to your school or not. Football trash talk is one thing, but y'all take to a whole nother level. Everybody's not against you. And this thing with FAMU, I would love it with just football. I really would. But it's not. And FAMU, you're just as wrong. You just as wrong. When you got to the SWAC, okay, you had y'all thing. I ain't missing nothing. We're not going to forget that it was FAMU alums calling the Celebration Bowl the Chitlin Bowl. We're not going to skirt past that, y'all. Y'all got in them groups, y'all got online, and y'all dogged out the Celebration Bowl. Don't nobody want to play that Chitlin Bowl anyway. Was it most? No. Was it all? No, but it was many. And then you're Jackson State. Y'all go at it so much, and then you act like it's always the other person's fault. You're wrong for talking about the water crisis in Jackson. That is anti-black, and it could very easily happen in Tallahassee. It can happen anywhere in Florida. Do not forget that Ron DeSantis is your governor. Jackson State, y'all are wrong for talking about Robert Champion. That's someone's child that died. It's toxic. It's incredibly anti-black, and it's wrong. It's just wrong. Fam, you talking about, oh, yeah, they said they're going to root for South Carolina State. The same way Jackson State alums said that they were going to root for Howard last year. Or did y'all forget the Mecca and the Mecca? See, I got the receipts. All you have to do is go down my timeline. I got the receipts of all of this. Y'all do the same thing. There's not too much difference between Jackson State and FAMU. You have two incredibly passionate fan bases, which, if you go back to what I talked about when I was on HBCU game day, I said I wish everybody had the school pride that Jackson State and FAMU have. BJ Jones talked about this on Sunday's HBCU Nightly. Don't forget, fan is just short for fanatic, and that comes with the good and the bad. But y'all are really doing the same thing. You really are. And FAMU, y'all started it. See, when it was Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, in this whole I'm rooting for the other team, when it was Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl, y'all rooted for Central, y'all rooted for SCSU. I was there. I watched you sit on the other side intentionally. Y'all are two sides of the same coin. Y'all are two sides of the same coin, and it's gotten to the point that it's so toxic, and groups. Willie Simmons told y'all 2 years ago, you get out of Ritz. It's toxic. And the reason that I bring this up in my final thoughts, the reason I'm talking about it with the passion that I'm talking about it, is because when I'm out here and I'm talking to these recruits, they see y'all grown asses acting like petulant children online. I got a parent right now who's actually a Jackson State alum. I have a meeting with them Thursday evening because her daughter is getting ready to leave JUCO and she's looking at other university options. And you want to know what's not on the list? JSU. She will be third generation Jackson State. But she's an athletic trainer, so she's around, she sees it, and she's like, I don't want to be a part of this. She asked me about Alabama State, and she asked me about Clark Atlanta. And I've got some other options that I'm going to sit down and talk to her about. But you know who was not? And half of her life was spent growing up in Jackson. And she's not the only one. I get recruits all the time. Man, I see all that. Or the parents, man, they be acting this kind of way. And before anybody says, yeah, with the PWIs are worse, I've told y'all time and time again, at this point, I'm saying it at least 2 or 3 times weekly on this show. We get looked at differently. We get judged a lot more harshly than our PWI counterparts. It's time for the alums of these schools to grow up. You can talk trash about football all day, basketball all day, tennis all day, baseball, softball. Let's go back and forth. Okay, fine. But for y'all to attack the institutions the way that you do, and for y'all to attack the institutions the way that you do, it's immature. And it needs to stop. or we're going to lose another generation of students. That's all I got today, y'all. Make sure you are following me at Twitter, at Nick Eden on Twitter, at Nick Eden on Instagram, at Nick Eden on Fanbase. For those who did not see the announcement, the HBCU Plus app, if you notice why you can't see it on the app has been discontinued because we have moved everything and consolidated everything under the Urban Edge Network app. So please download the UEN app for free. Don't forget UEN is also on DirecTV, channel 4161. You can see Nick Eden not only on the HBCU Plus channel on the UEN app. Your boy got his own channel, y'all. That's right. There is an In the Quad channel on the UEN app that you can catch it. We're going to start streaming the old shows on it. So sooner or later, once I build up enough of this content, In the Quad is going to have a 24-hour streaming channel on the UEN app, and you can see it all for free. You get to see other great things. Grambling State's channel is on there. You can see the HBCU AC. You can see the NBA G League, Texas Legend games. You can see the AF7, 305 network. There's a ton. There's a ton there. There's a ton. You click on the app, and I'm just gonna be honest. Structurally, the UEN app is better than the HBCU Plus app because it's just like you're going through. You got a channel guide, so you can go down, and you can click, you can see what's on right now, and you can play it. It's amazing. It's amazing. I am so happy to be a part of this. Again, don't forget, you've got another slew of shows that are going to be coming down the pipeline. Shout out to HBCU Pulse. I'm looking forward to seeing Randall's show come through. Hey, we're getting this together. We're going to talk about this AW Rewind show. We're going to be talking a different world. And I got some other stuff that's going to be coming down in the pipeline that's in development that hopefully will start in production in around February or March to debut in the fall of next year. I appreciate each and every one of y'all because if it were not for you, none of this would be happening. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I genuinely appreciate you. And I will see you same time tomorrow